Greetings, my loves. Welcome back to HADAR, the Love Beacon Restored. I am Love Loyal, and what we're going to do is we're going to complete reveal and get into part 3 of that segment. So we've already covered reveal part 1 and reveal part 2. So those videos are available for you to watch to catch you up, or to remind you or refresh your memory on the steps that we are taking to become fully restored individuals, so that we may be better citizens, happier people for ourselves. So let's go over the step 1. Step 1 was to write down where the pain comes from, or remind you of if it was a form of neglect or abuse or a negative childhood experience that causes you to respond to people in a tremendously negative way, because it reminds you of something that happened to you previously in your life. Step 2 was to write down what triggers your negative reaction. Was it how the person responded to something that you did, or a situation that the two of you may have been involved with? Was it something that you did, perhaps in getting upset or angry with someone, you reached for something, you grabbed for it and you threw it at them? Perhaps in anger you got physically violent and you may have struck them with your fist. Write down what actually triggers you. What was it said? What did they do in relation to if it was connected to something that happened to you in your childhood. And part 3, what we're going to go ahead and get right into, is now that we have it, now that we are aware of the things that's happening to us, when we're having conversations with other people and we're starting to become frustrated and we're no longer in control of our emotions, we need to do something with that energy. We need to figure out a way to channel that energy, or to get rid of it so that it's no longer in our vessel. So step 3 to this process is to write down manageable techniques that can assist you in moving beyond that negative feeling. So some examples of techniques that I use to help me manage my frustrations is to listen to some music, sing. Sometimes I'll dance. I'll put on some maybe old school hip hop, some 90s music or something like that, to get me in a better mood. Another technique that I've used is, I've had some serious negative experiences with men in my preteens, and to cope with handling that or purging that energy, being that I would never be able to meet with these individuals in my current life, I still needed to find a way to channel that pain or get rid of the feelings associated with them and in my past. And so what I did is I wrote down their names and what irritated me the most, or what caused me so much pain and hardship with them. And then as I wrote it down on each piece of paper, I know it sounds pretty ridiculous to some degree, but you just go ahead and set that piece of paper on fire, and it's a reminder that you've accepted that this is something that has hurt you in your life. You acknowledge that it's something in your spirit that needs to have closure, and you resolve it by going ahead and setting it a blaze of fire by letting it go. And as you do these practices and techniques, it'll help you to be mindful of, you know, how much time and energy you're spending on things that's really not going to matter in 5 years. So what's the saying? If it doesn't matter in 5 minutes, if it doesn't matter in 10, if what you say in 5 or 10 minutes, will it matter in 5 or 10 years? So why even spend your time or energy on it? So hopefully by us instituting these practices into our daily lives, we'll be able to become less agitated and be able to focus or put our attention on more positive things in our lives. So that's in brief what Reveal is about. And as I mentioned, we can go deeper into each segment, you know, of Reveal, you know, steps 1, 2, and 3 again. I'm more than happy to just dive deep into those painful things that are coming up, and we can have topics of discussion surrounding some of the hard experiences that we have had. You know, like some of us have been molested, some of us have been abandoned, some of us may have been either physically or verbally abused by our parents or our siblings. I mean, some of us have had some, you know, really unbelievable lifestyles, upbringing, levels of dysfunction, because we all have dysfunction in our household that caused us a measure of grief in our lives that prevent us to really becoming who we were meant to be. So that's it. We can continue to expand on these topics, but in conclusion, I want to say that the most important part of this journey is to realize that it's constant. Your every thought, every process, you're having to remind yourself that, you know, things are going to happen. You're going to become frustrated, and it's all in how you handle those frustrations and how you channel the energy when certain things are coming to you, and understanding that what you put out there is what's going to come back to you. You know, and it's going to take time for your physical and your mental being to get that concept, because we've all been surrounded by so much negativity, and negativity is normal now. So it's almost impossible to always be happy and, you know, sunshiny all of the time. But if you can manage how you feel and what you think more often by doing some of these things, releasing some of the tension and the frustrations in your life, then you'll be successful and you'll be able to achieve anything that you want to achieve. So I want to thank you all so much for your love and support at this time. You know, I will continue to shed light on some of my personal experiences and the things that I do in my life, some of the books that I'm reading, and some of the practices that I institute in my life to make my life less stressful and more productive, and over anything else, a lot more fun. So thank you so much for tuning in, and you all have a blessed day.
It's peaceful in bed with my guy.